Byron, you've seen the lineup change in action a few days in practice, now a game. Are you still feeling good about it?
Yeah, I mean, to me, still the right thing to do. You know, get some different looks out there, see how CJ and Kyrie and those guys mesh, and see if Deion can keep coming off the bench and supply us with that type of energy and scoring that he was able to do in the first game. So, you know, this is one of those things. It's not something that after one game you're going to look and say, oh, this is great, or one game you look and say, oh, this is not going to work. You got to give it time, and I'm going to definitely give it time to see how it kind of revolves, and if it doesn't, then I'll make a different lineup change. But I'm not going to do it after just one game. I'm going to give this, 10, 15 games and go from there.
He had 20 points the other night. How do you feel he embraced that role, Deion?
I don't know if he embraced it. I think he wants to start. I think that was pretty obvious with his body language, but this is how it's going to be. And that's the bottom line. So he's going to either have to embrace it sooner or later, or figure something else out, because I'm not going to change it back for a little while, and it's something that I think can help us as a basketball team. And as I told Deion, it's all about the team. It ain't about you. That's the bottom line. I'm trying to figure out a way to make us a better basketball team, and that's something that he's going to have to just understand and have to live with. Not
just Deion, but any player that goes through something like this. Is there a message, or do you just let them work their way through it?
No, the message is simple. Like I said, it's all about the team. No individual is bigger than the team. That's the bottom line. And I know these guys are 20 years old and 21, and sometimes they don't understand that, but that's the bottom line. I'm doing everything that I do for the betterment of the basketball team, not for an individual. So as a coach, you're going to make some decisions that aren't very popular, and guys have to live with that and understand that, but they have to respect the position, and that's the bottom line.
Is it ironic that maybe he did so well coming off the bench, trying to show you he should be a starter, when in fact what he showed you is what he can do coming off the bench?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of crazy because, like I said, I know he didn't embrace it, but it was one of his better games, so go figure. So hopefully he tries to show me up the rest of the season.
You'd love it.
Yeah,
Is sending John down similar to what happened with Samardo, or what is the plan for those two guys, just to try and get them time?
As much as possible, Mary, just to keep trying to get those guys as much playing time as possible, because like I said, experience is such a big factor, for those guys. And when they come back up here, if I play them, that's great. I'm sure it's great for them. If I don't, though, the one thing we want to do is keep their games pretty sharp. And one of the best ways to do that and utilize that is with our D-League team. So, send them back down to get a couple more games, and then come back up here and join us before we go to Chicago. Then be there for practice on Tuesday and go from there.
You've struggled against teams with losing records. You talk a lot about the monkeys in the zoo phenomenon. Is there a problem or a mindset issue going into some of these games against, even like Sacramento, 1-13 on the road?
I don't know what our mindset is. I know what our mindset should be when you go into games like this. You got to come out and play against these teams even harder than you do against a Miami or against Lakers and teams like that, because of the fact that these are the type of teams that, like I said, they're looking at you the same way. This is a chance for them to get a victory. So tonight's approach should be just that. We got to come out here full of energy, full of life, try to jump on these guys. They're 1-18 in their last 19 games. So, this is a team right now that feels, hey, we got Cleveland coming in. It's a chance for us to get another win, and we should be looking at it that same way. But in order to get that, you got to come out and perform, and you got to do it for 48 minutes, and you got to play hard for 48 minutes. And like I said, we play hard, but at times you got to just, pick up that extra gear, and that's something that we have to do tonight.
Yeah, Brian Winter's back in the league. What do you remember most about your association with him?
Well, he was my coach when we were in Vancouver, and I loved Brian when he was a player. I thought he was one of those tough two guards that could flat out shoot it and put it on the floor. As a coach, very mild-mannered, good guy. But, again, he had a team that they just kind of threw together, so we knew it was going to be very tough, for us and for him. But basketball-wise and X and O-wise, he knows his stuff. He's one of those guys that just understands the game extremely well. And if you give him an opportunity, to be an assistant or whatever the case may be, he can help.
Did you help police the locker room for him?
I had to. I had to. Me and Greg Anthony, we had to keep order in there because we had a bunch of guys that came from other teams that, they didn't know what it was to win and play, so they were, doing everything else. So, we had to kick a lot of butt at times. And sometimes literally kick a lot of butt, to get guys to understand that, this is a job and you got to come in here ready to play.
So it prepared you as a head coach then?
Yeah, it did. I think the thing that really prepared me as a head coach was playing in Vancouver, because I had never had a losing season. Through high school, college, pros, never had a losing season. So my wife had the best line. I never had a beer until I was in Vancouver. And I was at home one night after a loss, and it was 2 in the morning. I'm downstairs, and I have about 3 Coors Lights, because that's about as heavy as I can go anyway. I'm a lightweight.
Me too.
And she came down at 2 in the morning, like, come to bed. So I finally went up to bed, and she said, look, you want to get into coaching, this is probably the best thing that ever happened to you, because you got to understand what it takes, to win on an everyday basis. And she said, going through some losing is probably going to help you. And I think she was right.
How come the Y's always get it?
I have no idea.
They always get it.
Ask me.
Yeah, let's ask Mary that question.
Did you ever shoot with him after practice? Have any shooting?
No, Brian never did in the shooting. Lionel Holland was his assistant.
Okay.
So Lionel and Greg Anthony would do a lot of one-on-one, and Lionel and myself and Greg would do some shooting games and things like that. But Brian was one of those coaches that didn't do a lot of shooting. Mike Dunleavy, when I had him in L.A., he was the guy that would shoot with us after practice.
2 of the top point guards in their draft class, Kemba and Kyrie. What do you see in that matchup here tonight?
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a great matchup. 2 guys that both can get it going offensively. Kemba's one of those guys that's very streaky, but man, he's dangerous offensively. Pick and roll defense, has to be a key tonight. Trying to corral him as much as possible. But also, when they get it off the glass, they go. They're third in the league in fast break points, so transition defense is a must tonight. We got to get guys back and in front of him. But a head-to-head matchup with those guys has been pretty interesting the last couple of times that they've met, and I think they're both kind of looking forward to it again tonight.
I think one of the things Tyler had said in college, because it's college, he could go 80% with his back to the basket, low post game. Difficult up here, but his low post game will evolve. Any timetable in your mind for when that becomes a comfort factor?
No, I think in the summer, again, it's one of those things where he'll start getting better at it. Again, at the end of the season, or the middle part of the season on, we're going to start putting him down there a little bit more so he can get comfortable with it. But he understands now that guys in this league just as big as he is, just as strong, and most of them have more experience. So when you get back down in that post-up position, the one thing we want him to do is get comfortable with it again. And that's just, again, experience and growing into that big old body of his and getting stronger, especially in the upper body department.